All right, it is Saturday afternoon and I'm gonna wash, inspect, play with, talk about the S2000. So I got the car last Thursday. So actually not today's Saturday, not this past Thursday, the Thursday before. And so if you follow me on Instagram, the Obsessed Garage on Instagram, if you follow me there, you saw I posted a little video of the car getting on the truck and then the car heading down to Florida, or jumping on the truck coming to Florida. And it got here when I was in the mountains, and so I didn't even get to take delivery of it or see it. So Michelle took delivery of it. They pulled it in the wash bay, left it here, and I drove it to the office to get, that day I took it to get registered. And that's about the extent. And so I had to take the seat cover off really quickly because the seat cover makes you sit even higher. And so what I'll do is wash the car. I'm gonna take it apart, take apart the interior and just kind of look at what the car looks like, see the condition of the paint. I think it's pretty good, but we'll see. There's a layer of pollen on the thing from being up in South Carolina and getting shipped. And so I'm going to do the wheels and tires and kind of just do a quick assessment. I'm also going to talk you through what I plan on doing with the car. So we'll work through that as well. So let's get our soap. I needed to add some wheel cleaner to the bottle. This is Adam's wheel cleaner. And while we're here, we'll throw some soap in the bottle. So if you're new to the channel and you're watching because of the S2000, this is kind of what I do, is wash cars and talk about them. I seem to do that quite often. But this first we're going to use and do the wheels and tires, and I use quite often, this is Adam's car shampoo. I don't know why I fill up this bottle all the time, but I like to have the bottle, this smaller 32-ounce bottle readily available. So I'll pour it from the gallon often. And then while we're at it, let's put some in our foam cannon. Oops, that's a little bit more than I wanted. That would be good. All right, so here's the story of this car. Well, let's get the wheel cleaner on here first. So here's the story. So here's the story on this car. I decided I was going to get an S2000, and I was shopping E92 M3s and S2000s, and part of the reason why I decided I was going to do it now is the Obsessed Garage store has been massively successful. And I just decided, you know what, I put in a lot of effort. I think having an S2000, one, I want one, and two, I think it broadens the reach a little bit, so I could kind of justify the expense, I guess. I really want, I don't need any of this, but I really want a project car. And so I started searching for one. While I was searching for that, I was also searching for an E92 M3. But I really didn't want to spend 50 grand on an M3 yet. So I started the search. I really wanted a red one, or maybe a Laguna Blue. Of course, I would have taken a CR if I could have found one. You know, I wanted to spend around 20 grand. That was kind of my little mental budget I'd put in place for this. And so I started searching, and then I eventually found this one in South Carolina. This was the color. This is of course an AP2, and if you're not a S2000 fanatic, AP1 is from model years 2000. You know, the car came out in late '99 as a model year 2000, and then they did a slight refresh or slight adjustment, put a glass window in, added carbon synchros to the transmission. I've made a few other, I don't think there were any major tweaks in 2002 other than the main deal was the glass window and the carbon synchros to get rid of the notchiness of the transmission. It stayed at 9,000 RPM. So in 2002 is when I got my first S2000. It was a new Formula Red. It was a great car. I modified the heck out of it. And so it's like the guy never really cleaned this part of the wheel. And so I had my AP1. So again, AP1 will go from 1999 or from 2000 through 2003. And then model year 2004 was AP2. So I had my AP1 until, so I had it for 3 years. I actually leased that car, which was my first big financial mistake, because I leased it and I drove it too much and ended up having to pay, several $1,000s to turn it back in because I put too many miles on the thing, and I turned it in early. And so then in '04 they came out with the AP2. They went from a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder to a 2.2-liter, lowered the red line, changed the torque profile a little bit. So they lowered the red line to 8,000 RPM. But it was still a cable-driven throttle. So it was still a traditional throttle cable. But they facelifted it, so the interior changed. You had 2 cup holders. So they changed the stereo a little bit. I think they went from a paper cone. I don't remember exactly what happened with the stereo, but I think the stereo is a little different as well. But the main difference was new front and rear bumpers, different exhaust designs. Went to the oval rear exit. I'm gonna do that again. Same 240 horsepower, but again, more torque down low, which is funny to say because this car has 0 torque. By the way, these are Michelin Pilot Sport all seasons. As you might imagine, these aren't long for this car. Brand new tires too, so they'll be coming off really soon. So then 04, 05, then transitioned to the 06. So this is an 06. In 06 is when they went to drive-by-wire, and there were lots of talk about, how the car the throttle response wasn't going to be as good. Lots of people were unwilling to buy these, so the 04, 05s were more popular at that time. I remember I had gotten an 07. So again, this is an 06. I eventually bought an 07, so I'd come back to an S2000 again and bought my second one. Actually, I bought the car the second time around, brand new. I had got rid of my RSX Type S, and I bought my second S2000. So let's move to the other wheel. And so I wanted an 06 or 07, 08, or 09. There was a short 09 model year. That's when I think the CRs are 2009 versions. I think there was again a short stint of 09. I wanted an 08 or 09. It just so happened that this one came up at 29,500 miles and just made sense. So my AP2 I did a hard top, so it looked very similar to this car. I didn't have these side strakes. I didn't have there's the rear deck spoiler. I didn't have that on mine, but I had a hard top. I had the front lip. So this car is eerily similar. Now mine had the red interior where this car is all black, which I actually prefer. And I don't dislike the red interior. I just wanted a black one this time around. And I had a Mugen exhaust. I had, a bunch of other parts on the thing. I didn't do a header or anything like that. It was my daily driver. It was when I first started for Merrill Lynch. And that car was a workhorse, man. I drove the wheels off that thing. I mean, I put 135,000 miles on it. Eventually sold it for. So I bought that car in 2007, right from the Honda dealer, brand new. I bought it. It had, 0 miles on it. I put 135,000 on the thing, and the car was pristine. I also had Bilstein PSS 10s, or I guess they were PSS 9s at the time. What else did I have on that car? I had a bunch of other little bolt-on parts. It was a great car. Loved it. This is a Wheel Woolies boar's hair lug brush, an easy detail brush, which I always use often. So I had that car from 07 to 2011, and I had it at the same time as my E92 M3. So this was my daily driver, and the E92 M3 was my quote special car or weekend car, or, car that I didn't drive as much. I'd actually lived in West Orlando and commuted up here to where I live now, which was a 40-mile drive each way. That's why I'd put so many miles on the S2000. And so I'd figured out, I made a huge stretch. I think I was maybe making like 100 grand at the time, a little over 100 grand. And I got, the M3, financed it, was paying, $1,000 a month or something like that for it. $1,100 a month for the M3. And so, but I owned the S2000, I'd paid that off. And so it was the first time I had two cars. And that was the time I was ready. I was like, okay, it's time for me to start going to the track. And I was going to take my M3 to the track and then take the S2000 occasionally. And that was going to be my deal, what I was going to do. If you haven't heard me tell that story, I took my M3 to the track. I went down to Sebring, bought all the helmet and the Chin Motorsports and insurance on the car and everything for that track day. And I hated it. And still don't like doing it to this day. Call me what you want. I know myself. It's just the violence of the track. It's just not my bag. It's just not fun to me. This is Shine Supply Wise Guy. There's something on these tires that I don't like. You gotta get it off. And so as we were saying, the drive-by-wire, the advantage of an 06 plus car now, today, is the ability to flash the ECUs. So back in 06, 07, when these came out, people wanted the drive-by-wire because they were, they'd figured those out. But now you can buy, a Honda, whatever, flash. I guess you flash these ECUs, but you were able to, to tune these cars, so the 06s, the 06, 07, 08, 09 cars. And so that's why they were preferred. Let's go around and do the exhaust here. I'll come by and clean these up better soon. Again, I don't know what's on the car, what's on the paint. I'll come and clean these up with some P21S polishing soap later on, but I'm just gonna clean them for now. By the way, bucket package is getting close. I now have, all the parts at Grit Guard, and they're working on how to logistically, like how to fit it in a box and what it's gonna cost and all that stuff. They're gonna drop ship them for me. I don't really care too much about this because this stock exhaust isn't gonna last very long on this car. So I found this 06, it was in South Carolina. The story of this car, I guess there was an older gentleman that owned this thing. And then the guy I bought it from, I'm not sure what his profession was, but I think he, seems like an engineer type, and was moving. He had it for 8 or 9 months, something like that, but bought it from an older guy who had it for a long time. And then the kid that bought it, or the guy that bought it, put, several thousand miles on the car, but not a lot. Took good care of it, had it paint corrected, detailed, and then maintained it. Took good pictures, had a good, it was just a sharp dude. I'm sure he'll watch this video, but it was just a great process. And that's the thing, you just kind of have to, when you're buying a used car, this is the tricky part, is, I'm wiring the guy the money and I don't have anything for it, so, there's risk on both sides that, that you have to deal with when buying a used car when not going through a dealer. So you just kind of have to trust your gut. So I wired them the 25 grand. So I bought this for 25.5 with the hard top. That's what these cars are fetching. They're going for 20 to 30,000. Some of them I found. There was a few cars that I was looking at. One was an 08 with 9,000 miles, new Formula Red at a dealer up in I think Michigan or something like that. That they wanted 32 or 33 grand for it. Now in 07, now I understand we've had 10 years of inflation, but not a lot of it. And I paid $27.5 out the door for that car. I traded in my RSX. And I think I took a loan out of 12 or 13 grand or something like that. This car, I'm buying an 11-year-old car for $25.5. That's crazy, but these things are they're holding on to their value. I had it shipped, it cost me $800 to ship it from South Carolina. I don't have the time or patience. Plus, this is kind of a small car to go fly up to South Carolina and drive it, 10 hours home. So I just had it shipped, which was I used exotic car transport out of Orlando. Great experience, perfect transaction. I paid them $800. They picked it up 2 days after I paid them, and or scheduled it, and then it was here the next day. So super smooth, easy transaction. Why go through the pain? They're putting it on a trailer and sending it to me. The wheels look pretty good. No curb marks, no anything like that. Again, I don't really care all that much about these wheels and tires because these won't be on the car very long. So I registered the car. So again, the car got here on Thursday, 2 weeks ago. A week and a half ago. I got home from the mountains on Monday.
the office all week. I drove it to get registered on Thursday of last week. So a week later, so I didn't drive it any. My car's been dirty, covered in pollen, so I wanted to clean it before I really went out and drove it a lot. And so here we are today. I have a lot to talk about with this car, so I'm gonna just keep rolling through. Keep the camera running and keep talking. Let's actually put some of this on the tire to start. Hopefully it'll penetrate whatever's on it, some kind of slimy tire shine. This, if I didn't talk about it already, is a microfiber madness. It's called the Incredi brush. This is the flat version. The non-flat version doesn't really fit anywhere, so not on any of my cars. It'll fit on Michelle's Tahoe, but that's about it. So car has 29,000 miles on it, 30,000 miles on it. You know, I'm not gonna drive it a lot, but I'm gonna drive it probably, you know, once a week, twice a week, something like that on average. There'll be some weeks where I won't drive it, some weeks where I drive it all week. But I'm gonna modify this and, you know, and buy all the parts that I've always dreamed of owning. You know, so I'm gonna do all the things I wanted to do to my S2000 in the past. I'm gonna do them to this car. Detail brush. Get back behind here where I couldn't reach. I doubt I'll keep these little stone protector things, but we'll see. So, you know, why did I want an S2000? You know, I start to think about all the cars that I could have, you know, all the cars that I could own. The first thing I want is I want the cars that I had before. You know, I want the ones that kind of got away. I want them back. So, you know, I have my GT3. I have the GT350, which I like to think of my GT350 as if it's an M3, because it's what an M3 should be. And so part of my dream was always to have like an M3 daily driver and then a GT3 as my weekend car. Now, you know, because of what I do now and live so close and to do a lot of stuff with cars and, you know, kind of have a business that's kind of my dream where I'm serving, you know, managing money for young, smart, soon to be wealthy, and then, you know, older, established, wealthy car guys. I don't really have a daily driver per se. I just kind of do whatever. And I drive whatever I feel like driving because I'm only 6 or 7 miles from my office. And I, you know, if I do travel, it's, you know, it's not a big deal. I would take the truck with me down to the airport. So anyway, I was saying I don't have a daily driver. I just drive whatever I feel like driving that day. And so I'm not going to put tons of miles on this thing, but I'm going to drive it. And one of the things I talk about a lot, I'm going to do what I want to the car. So I don't care if I devalue it or, you know, I'm going to do whatever I want to do to it. I don't want to chop the thing up, but I'm going to modify it the way I want to modify it. And some people are going to, you know, not like what I choose. But I'm going to do what I want to do and not worry about what resale is going to be if I, you know, lose $2,000 on the value. Like, you know, like putting a stereo in the GT3, I don't really care if that hurts the value. There will be somebody who wants that. So, but I want a stereo in it. You know, this car, you know, I want I want the seats lowered. So I'm gonna put seat rails in it and lower the thing. I'm probably gonna put a stereo in the car. You know, I'm gonna modify it the way I wanna modify it. You know, because the best thing to do from a resale perspective is not to modify it at all. It would be to just leave it alone. So anyway, I'll get that out of the way now, and so when people start complaining about doing something to this car, I'll just refer back to this point of the video that, hey, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do to it, and I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it well with good parts, but I'm going to make the car what I think it should be. Because in stock form, this is not. I don't want anything to do with this thing. So I have no intention of leaving it like it sits. So we can start to talk through. Let me get us set up to wash the thing, and we can talk through what that's going to look like. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor.